I hereby reconvene the August 13th, 2013 meeting of the Marion County School Board at 6 p.m. For the courtesy of those listening to the meeting, I'm requesting everyone in the audience, please turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate. Board members, it is my pleasure to bring up Ms. Kathy Quinlan. She's going to handle our inspiration and pledge for this evening.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. It is really a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm speaking to you this evening as the former principal at Lake Weir Middle School, and I'm very proud to introduce to you Ms. Fallon Driver, who is a teacher at Lake Weir Middle School, and she is in her 4th year. She is the agriculture teacher. Ms. Driver is a real go-getter, and she's one of our teachers that really needs to be celebrated. As we have so many good teachers in our district, Fallon truly is outstanding. Fallon is representing Region 5 with the National Association of Agriculture Educators. I said that without looking. I'm so proud of myself. Region 5 consists of Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. They give several awards, and Ms. Driver actually has won one of the awards. It's called Teachers Turn the Key Award. There are 45 national winners, only 2 from Florida, and Ms. Driver is one of those. So we are really, really proud of her. The award is based on the applicant's performance and philosophy in agriculture education. The evaluation criteria is based on the actual program and the student activities in the classroom, at career development events, and with students' learning activities. Highlights of Ms. Driver's short but a productive career include that her first 2 years ago, she led the Lake Weir Middle School horse judging team to a state championship. She is Angie Carr PD trained. She serves as a Common Core lead teacher for us. And in technical ed, she uses iPads in her classroom. She volunteers to work with first-year teachers, and she's only a 4th-year teacher herself, so that's fabulous. She has developed a great land lab at Lake Weir Middle School, and she has many successes in the Southeastern Youth Fair. She also volunteered this past year to work with the Public Ed Foundation with the Cycling for Success program that was fundraiser that was offered at Lake Weir Middle School or sponsored at Lake Weir Middle School. So Fallon, what I have to say about her is that she's not only mature beyond her years, but she also displays a great wisdom beyond her years. And so what I'd like to do is pass out 2 letters to you. One is written by Mrs. Lynn Nobles at CTE. She works with agriculture education, so that's one letter of recommendation, and you can certainly read it at your leisure, a little more about Ms. Driver. And this is a letter of recommendation that I wrote for her for this scholarship opportunity. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Fallon Driver to you.
Good evening. C.S. Lewis said, "The task of a modern educator is not to cut down jungles, but to irrigate deserts." In less than a week, our students will come to school needing much irrigation in the form of knowledge and experience that we as teachers have to offer. Smiling and excited teachers will greet their students at the door with the smell of new clothes, new backpacks, and my personal favorite, office supplies. With a much needed emphasis to prepare students for college and careers, the way we teach and the way in which students learn will change. Nevertheless, our goal is always the same: to help the students become successful adults prepared for their future. I'm honored to be here this evening, and I wish all of Marion County a delightful school year. Thank you.
I was going to say, okay.
For the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your program down there, about your land lab and
Yes, sir. We're an agri-science program, so I actually have the honor of teaching 2 agri-science foundation courses, which basically means that we have a small group of 8th graders that will leave us going to the high school with a science credit as an equally rigorous science course. We offer this class to other students as well that aren't necessarily receiving that same credit. We have an inside portion, which includes some labs and hands-on activities, as well as our outside land lab, where every year we have at least 1 or 2 lambs, a couple of pigs, and definitely focus on not only on traditional farming or agriculture as far as row raised crops, but also by exposing the students to something called the vertigrow system with hydroponics. So showing them a new part of agriculture that they can have access to.
Very good. Where is it located on the campus?
The end of the world. We're in building 17. We're kind of off near the PE field, but we
Okay.
have a nice land lab that's fenced in there. We have irrigation, a nice area for growing plants, animals, and like I mentioned, as well as our vertigrow system.
Well, I'd like to come down and see it someday, so
We'd love to have you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Board member? Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to thank you for being a role model to teachers younger than you, and you're so young yourself. When you came up here, I thought, is she a middle school student or high school student? But it's great to have young people helping, mentoring younger teachers, and keep up that good work. And you're right across the street from me, so I'm definitely going to come by and visit your area back there by
Thank
Building
you. I
17.
appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Ms. Boynton, did you have something?
I was just gonna just say thank you too, and then follow up too on that compliment. I thought you were a student standing there to deliver too. And
The sixth
I am
graders
so
say that all
proud
the
and,
time.
Just thank you for being such a success and to our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Superintendent?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the agenda for the August 13th, 2013 school board meeting with the materials in the board packet, those materials distributed to board members at the meeting, the audio recording, and DVD included as part of the official record of the meeting.
May I have a motion on the superintendent's recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Oh, okay. We'll go through that part. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? And,
Did I get that? Who did the motion second?
it's a good-
Well, Ms. Morton
Oh.
got the motion and
Okay.
the second.
Thank you.
Mrs. Ely was second?
Yes,
Sorry.
that's okay. All right. All right. Everybody, please lock in your vote. And the motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the July 18th, 2013 administrative briefing and work session, the July 23rd, 2013 school board meeting. I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Boynton, second by Ms. Ely. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion should pass 5-0. And as soon as I vote. There we go. And it does. Board, I now like to bring up Mrs. Lisa Kasakis, the Executive Director of Human Resources, and she's going to present us with a presentation this evening. Although I think she's going to sit and do it, which is the wise thing to do.
Follow Ms. Flockhedder's directions here on getting this going.
Down below, just down.
There we go. Okay, it is my pleasure tonight to talk to you about the Human Resources Department and the fabulous employees that we have working for us in those different arenas. Currently, there are 3 divisions in the Human Resources Department. One is Employment Services, one is Risk Management, and the third is Equity Assurance and Employee Relations. At one time, prior to budget cuts, there were actually 4 sections or 4 divisions of Human Resources, but we have combined Employee Relations and Equity Assurance together for the time being. We will start by talking about the Employment Services Division, and it is led by Deb Miller, who is the supervisor of that department. And they have the task of hiring all of our employees, not just our instructional employees, but our non-instructional, paraprofessionals, clerical workers, cafeteria workers, custodians, maintenance workers. All of the employees for the entire district are managed through the Employment Services Division. They also hire administrative, charter school and contracted employees, substitutes, part-time workers, often found at CTAE through our extended day program, and summer school workers. The hiring process includes a great deal of detail and information. The process starts by managing vacancies through our online employment application process known as Fast Track. They manage the position controls and units by working very closely with Mr. Langford's department on the staffing plan and the unit controls. They conduct new hire sessions and orientations for all new employees. They process all of the related paperwork that's necessary. They conduct the fingerprints and background screenings to ensure that our employees have been properly screened. They evaluate applicants' necessary certifications if they are instructional employees, and they update our current personnel database, which is Skyward. Once we have our employees hired, it then requires maintenance of our personnel through the issuing of contracts annually, updating assignments as teachers and others are transitioning from one school site perhaps to another through reappointments, transfers, and retirements. They also process all of the PSNs and grants necessary for special projects, and they maintain all of the data elements necessary to go along with personnel issues. They maintain the hard copy personnel files, and they submit issues to this board for approval each meeting. A little more information about the background checks that they perform. These are done for all of our employees, as well as vendors who do business with us on our school sites, and those who contract with us as per the Jessica Lunsford Act. They also handle our interns and our school volunteers. In the area of certification for our instructional employees, we have a very close working relationship with the Department of Education and the Bureau of Certification specifically. We are able to process certifications for new certifications, updated certifications, and renewals that teachers have to receive every 5 years. We monitor the certification requirements and information found in the course code directory, and we manage the coursework that is required of employees who are assigned to a position out of field for which they are not currently certified. And they also are in charge of monitoring the federal No Child Left Behind Act requirements to determine which of our instructional employees have the highly qualified status. They're also part of the processing that's necessary for FTE reporting. They deal with all of the data elements pertaining to employees and staff. They assist the charter schools and the contract schools as they report their data management, and they are submitting required staff data elements to the state during surveys 2, 3, 5, and 8 each year. Some miscellaneous areas that Employment Services will deal with involve unemployment compensation claims. They also manage the hepatitis B program in conjunction with the local health department. They process public records requests that involve staff data. They complete employment verifications for previous employees who have moved on to another job and need to have their employment verified. They assist applicants with the online application process through Fast Track, and they are responsible for providing the lovely badged photo IDs that we all wear. The next division under Human Resources is Equity Assurance, and Rose Cohen is the district's equity officer. It is her role to assure compliance of our non-discrimination policy and to maintain oversight in various areas. The Marion County School District's non-discrimination policy supports this statement that the district does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, age, national origin, marital status, genetic information, or qualified disability in its employment practices and in its access and admission to educational programs, services, and activities. The Equity Department handles complaints that would be filed in areas such as race discrimination, religious discrimination, disability discrimination, sex discrimination, and age discrimination. Specific legislation can be found on each of those areas, and I'm not going to read them all to you, but you have a hard copy of this that you can reference back to if you have any desire to do so in any of those areas and the legislation that we are mandated to follow. We also have a number of school board policies that support our endeavors to be aligned with this legislation, and you can see the listing of school board policies and their titles here. Occasionally, complaints will rise to the level of an investigation, and when that happens, it is Ms. Cohen's responsibility to act in a very expeditious manner to meet with the complainant, the respondent, and the witnesses in order to create a thorough report for the superintendent's review and then possible action. One of the areas that I mentioned previously dealt with discrimination in the area of disability. And in order for us to be in compliance in the areas of employment practices, programs, and activities, it is necessary for us to provide reasonable accommodations, including interpretive services, not only for our students, but their parents and community members. And so there is board policy, which is listed on the right-hand side, that pertains to that area so that we can provide an interpreter so that a parent can come and participate in their child's educational experience by participating in open house, orientation, parent-teacher conferences, etc. As you are aware, the Title IX legislation prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in education programs and activities. The Equity Office is responsible for oversight of Title IX regulations governing athletics to ensure the district is effectively accommodating the athletic interests and abilities of students of both sexes. Why is it important for us to monitor equity issues? Not just because it's the law, but because discrimination litigations are very costly, and more importantly, because we have an ethical obligation to make the workplace, the classroom, our programs and activities free of unlawful discrimination and harassment. We are an equal opportunity school district. And the third area is risk management, and the supervisor there is Lori Lively. This department is responsible for administering employee benefits, and you can see a very long list of employee benefits that they are responsible for offering and administering for our employees. In addition to those benefits, they monitor and manage our employee sick leave bank that is funded through employees' donated sick days, where an employee who meets the criteria for the sick leave bank can receive up to 60 paid days for a life-threatening illness or accident prior to having to go into an uncompensated state. We also provide an employee assistance program that offers our employees and their families free confidential services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including summers and Christmas and holidays, that will provide for them personal counseling, credit counseling, legal advice, and other areas as well. We also manage the retirement benefits, education, and processes for all of our employees. We assist our employees with education regarding their retirement benefits. We monitor the ever-changing legislative changes that come before us each year in the area of retirement, and we also handle and monitor the drop program and the employees that are currently enrolled in that specific retirement option. Risk Management manages our district workers' compensation program, involving placing injured workers into a safety initiative, providing light duty for employees who are not able to work at their normal job, but providing them something that they are able to do. We are always focused on medical cost containment for treatments, and we have a third-party administrator who handles our workers' compensation program, and Risk Management is the liaison to that third-party administrator. There are also a myriad of insurance programs that protect the board in the various areas that you see listed there. And Risk Management oversees our emergency management programs and procedures and policies. Our role is to be prepared, respond, manage, and recover for any kind of an emergency that may hit us here in our community, be it natural or a man-made event. We provide sheltering for the community. We provide emergency transport for school board emergencies as well as county emergencies. Additional functions of risk management involve the hotline for the Save a Friend hotline, where anonymous reports can come into the district and they can be acted upon by the appropriate department. They provide the oversight of our drug-free workplace program, our Safe Schools program. They perform accident investigations and premises safety follow-up, and they also deal with legal claims in those areas. Miscellaneous HR functions that cross a myriad of these three divisions in my office as well, dealing with employee relations. We also handle all of the collective bargaining for the three different employee unions, IUPAT, MESP, and MEA. We deal with union grievances, and if they arise to the level of mediation and arbitration, we handle those. We also deal with any kind of employee discipline that rises above the level of school-based discipline, performing investigations and processing whatever discipline may be necessary for that particular employee. We are the liaison to the District Legal Counsel, Professional Practices Commission, Children and Family Services, and we manage the district job descriptions and salary schedules as well as district board policies. The services provided by our Human Resources Department are only possible due to the very hard work of 28 dedicated employees who I am very, very proud to work with each day. And I won't read all of their names to you, but if you get a chance to speak with any of those employees, please let them know that we all appreciate the hard work that they do.
Questions, board?
Thank you for giving us a reader-friendly PowerPoint on human resources. It's a huge department, and I don't know that we realize just how big it is and how many responsibilities you all have in that one area, but thank you.
I didn't know in November either, but I'm
Yeah,
learning.
we're both newbies at this, so.
All right. Thank you. We have a motion to adopt revised resolution 13-7, sales tax refunding revenue bonds, series 2013A and series 2013B, not to exceed $2,765,000. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. James, second by Ms. Boynton. Board, we have tonight the pleasure of having a couple gentlemen who are handling this item for us, and at your desire, I'd like to bring them up. And one is Mr. Judd Friedman. He is a bond attorney, and we also have Mr. Brent Wilder, and both of them can answer any questions that you may have about this particular item. Gentlemen.
Good evening, I'm Judson Freeman with Marion Olive in Jacksonville. I'm here to answer questions about the resolution. We had a real tight time schedule to get this done, and we had some comments from the bank's attorney between the time you had your agenda published and the time we had this meeting. So there have been a few minor changes to the resolution, but they're pretty much editorial. We did put in the 3% net present value savings target that y'all approved. That's the only thing that's of interest. Everything else is really not of interest to the district. It doesn't affect the district one way or another.
Board. Any questions? All right. Well, gentlemen, I want to compliment you bringing this this item to us with the current bond bank markets that are out there at the moment because of what's been happening in California, and then of course the big 800-pound gorilla up in Detroit, the fact that there is still an opportunity for us to save some money. Thank you. Obviously, some very hard work on your part, so we do appreciate it. Any other comments that y'all?
Just
Sure.
I've been asked
Yeah.
to provide the board a quick update on the estimated savings. Brent Wilder, Public Financial Management, we are privileged to serve as the district's financial advisor. As Mr. Freeman just alluded to, part of one of the parameters in the resolution put before you sets a minimum savings threshold for us to refinance the bonds on your behalf. Because of the nature of the proposals, we cannot lock the interest rate until after the board chooses to move forward with it. The minimum savings threshold was put at 3%. As of the close of business today, if we're able to lock, you would actually save over 10% savings on this transaction. So we're very hopeful that should you move forward tonight, we can act quickly tomorrow to capture these savings on behalf of the district.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Good.
Anything? All right.
All right.
Thank you. Board, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And I believe that's going to pass, I believe 5-0, but let's find out. And it does, and the motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. And thank you to the Finance Department for also helping bring this to us. Now we're looking for every dime we can get. This is another one to the bottom line, so thank you. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the revised agreement for item C19, Marion Therapeutic Writing Association Incorporated. Need a motion and a second, please.
May I say?
Yes, ma'am.
I might like to comment on C23, or I can speak after the board, on our district strategic plan.
Did you want to pull that item, or were you?
I'd like to pull it
Okay.
and discuss it. So
All right.
shall we do everything else first?
We would, well, then what we would do is we would approve the consent agenda with the amendment to C19 and with the withdrawal of item C23. Madam Secretary, did you get that?
Pull, which one, C23?
C23. All right.
Just need a motion and a second.
Okay, I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. James, second by Ms. Boynton. All right. Anybody else want to pull anything? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion should pass 5-0. And the motion does.
Let me, I need to go up and actually pull the item real quick.
All right.
I didn't want to do that, so I'll do that for voting.
Okay, and we'll take up C 23 right after we handle item D 52. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the revised 2013-2014 school level staffing plan? This was originally approved on April 9th. We're doing a revision to it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. James, second by Ms. Ely. Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, based on approval of custodial contracts for Legacy, Anthony, Dr. N.H. Jones, and Oakcrest Elementary Schools at the July 23rd, 2013 board meeting, it is necessary to amend the staffing plan to add 4 plant manager units to the school sites to maintain operations during the school hours and to monitor contracted services.
Thank you, sir. Board, discussion?
We've talked about this quite a bit, and I think it's, you know, the savings to each school is $38,000, and that's what we're looking to do. So
Yeah.
it was Miss Stacy's suggestion, and I think it was good to have somebody supervising the night crew and teachers reporting back to them, and I think the communication is going to be much better.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion should pass 5-0. It's not coming up. That's okay.
This machine is exceptionally slow tonight. Come on, baby. I don't know why it's not communicating. I do have all votes recorded as A. It's unanimous approval. I don't know why
Okay,
it's not showing.
so it passed 5-0.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Board, our next item will be item D23. May I have a motion to approve item D23, the board's strategic plan? Need a motion, a second, please.
So moved.
A second.
Motion by Ms. Ely, second by Mr. James. Ms. Stacy, you requested this item to be pulled.
Yes. I'm still just not comfortable, and I want the community, because if we move this through on the consent agenda, the community wouldn't hear what our goals are. And I would like to speak on these goals and give my personal opinion about where we are with them. So I pulled this strategic plan item for discussion only. I just am concerned that they're really not realistic goals. We write plans all day, but leaders must implement them, and I don't believe the school board is leading in a direction of these stated goals. Goal 1, support and maintain safe, secure, and respectful schools. Colleagues, our schools are not always respectful, especially to our teachers, when we change their name to substitutes. I've shared with you that I run a 24/7 virtual hall town meeting on Facebook. The teachers are calling me. I get to bed on a good night at 2 a.m. because there's so many teachers in the community that have plugged into that, and they're messaging me and speaking to me about the fact that they have so many ideas that could help this district, but they're afraid to stand up and speak, and they begged me not to even tell people who they are. What I find interesting is that whether the teachers are calling me from the middle school at Lake Weir or high school at Lake Weir, or whether they're calling me from Denellen, their stories are always the same. The teachers just feel so disrespected and so intimidated, and I wish there was some way, if we're going to meet our goal, I believe we're going to have to bring the teachers in and show them that we do respect them, and then they can work tirelessly to help us meet our goal. Goal 2, maximize federal, state, and local resources to ensure the most effective and efficient use of our revenues. Again, teachers in all areas are sharing with me that we pay for teacher training, They go, in fact, one training that several teachers have mentioned to me was the reading endorsement. I have no clue what that is. Mr. Tomlin, you might know. As one example that they said is really a good training, but they take it back to the school, and the school's doing something completely opposite from what the teachers were trained to do. It's like we feel good sending them for this training, but then we aren't there to implement it. Then it says, in a part of it, we will ensure the most effective use of our revenues. Well, does anyone believe that the taxpayers are going to give us more money when year after year we balance our budget off the backs of our teachers? I am hearing in the community that there will be no tax increase for this school system as long as the only way they can balance the budget is off the backs of teachers. Goal 3 that we have: hire, develop, retain, and support the most highly qualified teachers, administrators, and support personnel. Well, hire and retain the most highly qualified teachers? We lost some of our highly qualified teachers last year from that stunt we pulled where we fired 161 teachers. Some were Rookie Teachers of the Year, some had won awards in other areas, and now many of them have even left the area. They're not even here now. We are hiring 100 subs. Basically, we're putting teachers in the classroom who are desperate enough financially to work for $18,000 a year. We're hiring teachers that are just desperate for money, so much so that they will work for 50% the salary of the people that they cross constantly in the hallways with. We have 100 teacher subs who work like indentured servants for us. They work for little pay in the hopes that next year they will be rewarded with a teacher position. They sign on with us and they keep coming back year after year in these positions. But retain them when Walmart could come along and offer them more money than we're paying them in the classroom, and they could walk away, maybe the men could take a position in our painting department and make more money than they can make as a teacher and leave the students that have bonded with them without a teacher. Goal 4, improve the quality, integrity, and delivery of our communication to meet the needs of all stakeholders. Well, if you go over to my virtual town hall meeting spot on Facebook, Nancy Stacy's School Forum, you can read a story about how we communicate with our parents. Because a parent wrote in and shared her nightmare story about how we communicate, sharing with her that she's just like the tail wagging the dog, talking to parents like that. And I have verified this story with Mr. Langford, and we've talked about it, and Mr. Langford's handled it. Goal 5, improve academic achievement for all students and increase the percentage of students graduating equipped for post-secondary work through rigorous integral curricula in a multi-tiered system of support. Great goal. However, I believe strongly, Mr. Tomlin, there is a link between the declining achievement in this district to the practice of tormenting our teachers and keeping them absolutely on hold all year. They can't even buy homes. They don't even know if they're going to have a job the next year. You will never get optimum performance from employees when you constantly destroy the morale of your workforce. We keep the teachers so distracted with wondering whether they're going to have a job or not, they can't even focus on the students. Here's the deal. The rubber is now hitting the road. It is now that we stop running our classroom with teachers that we're only paying 50% of the salary that this board voted that we pay our classroom teachers. We even take these substitutes and we mark them with the scarlet letter S. We let them have a badge that they're substitutes all year. And all of us remember when we were in high school what the kids thought when they saw a tag that said substitute on it. And some of the teachers, have that, and that just kind of tells the kids, they're kind of open, fair game. I want to show the board that we do have money for these 100 teachers. We have 10 newly created supervisory positions in transportation that the newspaper said will cost us $600,000. I don't really know for a fact that's the amount, but $500,000 or $600,000 probably from those 10 positions that Mr. Gregory we had in the staffing plan that I'm hoping Mr. Gregory will have second thoughts about. We have $2.3 million in teacher training that I have been investigating and tracking down, whether it was encumbered and, because we were told, oh, we have to spend this because for training because it comes from Race to the Top. Well, that's all another pot. We have another pot where we have we have millions in another pot where we train. This one in the general fund is not encumbered by federal guidelines. From what I understood when I spoke with finance today, that those are dollars that we do have a little bit of say over. So I would like for us to look at pulling as much out of there as we can. I'd like to get $600,000 out of that budget if we could, especially if we're training people and they're not implementing the training. I don't see why we should keep doing it. I'd like for Mr. Gregory to get with us on the custodians, which I think he's doing. I understand he's going to be meeting with finance during the week and talking about some positions over there, which I'm excited about. We could even maybe move custodians around where we don't have to fire anyone, but move them around and clump them where we could possibly privatize maybe 8 more schools and pick up another $300,000. Although we could get the full $2 million if we privatized everyone, but we're not ready to do that yet. Now for the tip of the iceberg. I want the $1 million just located in the budget for upcoming raises of non-instructional employees. We cannot give raises to anyone when our most prestigious employees, who are the pillars of our community, have pay cuts of 50%. I want this school board to discuss public school choice coming up. As I have secretly followed some legislation for 6 months, been to Tallahassee several times chasing it and following it, and it was signed in June, that will probably, if we implemented an open enrollment school choice policy, we could probably recoup $1 million in the fines that were being charged for the class size amendment, because we would go back to class school averaging for class size. So we could pick up a lot of our fines. So I just refuse to be the kind of employer in Marion County that allows anyone to bully me into allowing the inequity of 2 teachers working side by side where one makes half the pay of the other. I will not set students up for the disappointment of possibly the failure as they watch their beloved teacher they have bonded with walk out the door because Walmart has an opening paying her more than we pay her. I have made these suggestions, and I have found $3.5 million in these suggestions I just listed that are unencumbered for the most part, and I understand we need $2.5 million, so we got some play money here. It's unfortunate that years past, the superintendent has convinced board members that 50% pay is enough for some teachers. Some teachers. Has nothing to do with their abilities, but that's just all the money we have, so they have to work for that. I refuse to allow Mr. Tommen to just dismiss the salary schedule this board has approved. Mr. Tommen, it's like bastardizing the term teacher. We're destroying the word teacher in our community. We call them substitutes. I guess we could call them gremlins, but I call them teachers. They are not substitutes, Mr. Tommen, because if they were a substitute, they would be replacing someone in that seat, but they're not substituting for anyone. There's no one there except a ghost. There's no one they're substituting. You can't change a teacher's title to substitute when it's a teacher, and the board has voted in years past how much they're going to pay through public hearing processes. Their job description has been defined. So come on, board. Help me lead and govern and stop insulting the pillars of our community, the teachers. We came up with salaries because we believed that was how we could attract the quality employees we need in our classroom. So if we don't want to go there, I've offered some cuts to pay these teachers. I'm going to suggest one final suggestion on where we can also get money. Mr. Crawford, you have talked about unfunded mandates. And we all know we've gone to the taxpayers for money, and we know what they said. Would you all say we are in a state of financial urgency? Because I would. I'm referring to section 447-4095 of the Florida statute called financial urgency. This means our district and the bargaining agent for employees could go into negotiations that would not exceed 14 days. The First District Court of Appeals just gave an opinion last month that we could unilaterally change what is in the contract if we have a financial urgency. I don't want to go there, but the appellate court has given us that option. I want to use the $3.5 million that I have identified. So if we're not in a state of financial urgency, then why are we paying employees 50% of their salary? Just some food for thought. Thank you.
Any other comment, board members?
Let me comment a little bit on that.
Sure.
I kind of got a whole lot from what you were saying, Miss Stacy. I stuck entirely on one of the goals that we have. I know as we sat down, we as a board came together, and the FSBA even had us train together. I think we had a wonderful time coming up with these goals. And goal 3, the hire, development, and retain and support the most highly qualified teachers and administrators and support personnel. It's one of the things I took to Tallahassee to the governor, was we as a state, we are doing a great job of hiring, recruiting, but we have to retain. And I explained to her, in the retainment, it affects our state, our tourists. We're a tourist state. So they had a responsibility now, being that the federal government has left total funding to between state and local funding. And like I told you earlier, they were very, very supportive of new ideas that did not raise taxes. And as we sat around a round table talking about it, they were very supportive, and I came up with 3 ideas off my list that I will share with you as a board. I will send the policy packet out to you that I presented to them. It was interesting that they felt like, wow, there's a way to bring funding. And I was very specific in the areas that I think we need funding in, and that was music and arts. And definitely, I wanted money for teachers always, but building for maintenance. And they just were amazed that this was the first county that they actually said brought some new ideas to the table. And I want to share it with you so you can bring me more ideas, because it's us, all of us, for bringing these ideas that say, hey, we cannot tax the taxpayers any longer. We must reach out in other areas to bring funding in. And with the support of Tallahassee, I'm sure we can reach out further with some of our ideas in naming rights and all of those different things, you know.
Ms. Stacy.
At this time, we can't wait for Tallahassee. We have teachers who are so financially strapped that they are willing to take a job at 50% pay. We have money that we're going to use for raises. How can we give raises to anyone when 100 of our pillars of our community are working for 50% of their salary? I don't even know how we can think like that. I guess because somebody out there knows they all need jobs desperately, but the morale is just being destroyed. And we wonder, why are our district test scores sliding? We have teachers who are so distracted as to whether they'll have a job next year. And I don't believe we have made hard choices. I believe Mr. Gregory can get into this finance area, and I believe he will get to looking for some money for me. Even if we can't get it all, if we can just pick up $2 million of it, instead of paying them $100 a day, pay them $192 a day or whatever. But it's not an all or nothing. Whatever we can pick up, they need to be paid. If we can pull money out of teacher training or instructional stuff, or jetting around wherever we go to do all that. If we can do open enrollment school choice, boom, we can class size, we can school average to meet class size amendment district-wide. Would be a new thing. But what better way to demonstrate the schools that are doing well versus the schools that aren't doing well than for the parents to be able to move with their feet? If we want to meet our goals, this community wants us to get serious. We can sit and write goals down all day, but when we're working in the wrong direction to meet our goals, I love the goals. I would love to go out and show them, but I can't say that these are even realistic goals that we've written. We are talking the talk, but we're not walking the walk. Until we treat The people in this district that made my 3 children successful professionals today, we didn't used to treat teachers like this. When my kids were in school, we didn't treat teachers like this. And I'm telling you, I'm going to go to the mat. I will not work for a tax increase. I will fight a tax increase. And let Tallahassee come in here and take us over if I have to, if we don't pay those teachers what we're supposed to pay them. Thank you.
Can I say something, Mr. Chair?
Yes, and then we're going to go to Mr. James.
Okay. I think that it's not the intent of this board to have staff with low morale. And I would personally suggest to the superintendent to actually look into see if our staff has low morale. Maybe we can, I don't know how we can figure it out, but maybe I can come to your office and sit with you. Because one of the things we don't need is staff starting a new school year with low morale. And I know our goals have really taken us this far with our students. And I believe that if you don't have a goal, you will never know where to go, where you're going. And I believe just to have an idea of where we want to go is more important to me that someone has something to work toward than no focus, no idea. So I want to thank the staff for putting this together, working with us to get it together. And I think anytime we have any new ideas, it's up to us to bring it to the board, to bring it to the superintendent. And I thank you, Ms. Stacy, for bringing all this to us so that we can have something to think about.
I found this $3.5 million, and I guess we need $2.5 million, and I think we can fund these teachers.
Thank you.
Mr. Tillman, would you please review what, as far as the teacher hirebacks, from the time that they were let go in the summertime, would you review that with us?
Yes, sir, I was going to do that at the end. I can
Ms.
do,
Stacy is aware of it.
I can do that right now. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just would like it
In the month, in the month of May, we did lay off 161 first-year teachers. To date, we have recalled all of those teachers. 101 of those have accepted the teaching positions that we have offered to them. In reference to paraprofessionals, we have recalled we had laid off actually 63 of those. That was after transferring a number of those to reflect our new staffing plan. And we have recalled all but 14 of those, and some of those 14 have even taken jobs in other departments in our schools represented by a different union. Our overall staffing plan, as you know, is 249 fewer instructional units and instructional support personnel, of which 163 are basic instructional units. And of course, that is drawing our attention to watching very closely the class size as we addressed it last year. Is that the information that you wanted?
And
Yes.
I appreciate that, completely made my point. Thank you, Mrs. Ely. We let go 161 teachers, and how many have accepted positions back, Mr. Tom, at 10?
We have recalled all of them, and 101 of them accepted the
So
position.
how are we gonna meet our goal retaining qualified teachers when it sounds like 50 teachers went someplace else to teach?
Ms. Stacy, no, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say,
Well,
you're assuming
they
that
obviously-
everyone that
Well,
was
they
laid
went
off was
somewhere
the
to
most highly
work.
qualified, and that may or may not be true. So, and you know, because I
I
believe you're
know
also,
that, exactly.
and I think because you're a supporter of, and correct me if I'm wrong, of merit pay based on.
Exactly.
So
Very
we don't-
much so.
Like that. So I
But
wouldn't
what
gotta
he's
go
saying
there.
is, we fired
Let's-
160, we offered them all their jobs back, but only 110-ish came back. So we lost some good teachers because of this little stunt.
Let's go to Mr. James.
One of the things that I would like to caution us on, and again, I know all of us really support our teachers. But the thing that I'm always saying to us, have we vetted these numbers? Because if we put all these numbers out there, and these numbers are not truly vetted by the people that are out there making these decisions, then we create something of a hornet's nest. Because some of these things, and I know they sound wonderful, and they should sound wonderful, but I always caution the board, let's vet these things and make sure these people that's working with these things on a daily basis get an opportunity to say, this is what we have, this is what we worked on, and let's try and do that. Because the worst thing I want teachers to think that there's a board up here that's hiding money or doing things like that. And these numbers sound good, but have all these people that work with these things have had an opportunity to listen to these numbers and come back and say, hey, this is what we got and this is what it is. I've heard that the training that we send the teachers are not getting back to the teachers. Have we looked at the ways in which we make sure that the people that are saying this are giving us an accurate number by working with the administration to find out, the administrators in the school to find out what is actually being taught if it's not being taught? Because I don't want to seem like I'm a person that's sitting here insensitive to this, but I do know that if we tell people that we have X amount of dollars and they're not there, then we're creating really a morale issue. Because if somebody think I got $50 in my pocket and I'm only giving out 25, and I know that I have to do certain things, we create a morale issue when you got a person out there busting their butts to clean this place up and do all these things, and you tell, well, you ain't worth as much as this person. They are. They feed their kid. Their bread costs the same thing and everything else. So I caution all of us, when we get into this thing, let's be careful about what we say here. Please give us an opportunity, and I don't know, to hear it, and then come up with saying, hey, that's a good idea. There is some money I didn't see or I didn't take, but if we put it there, and people will think that we're holding something. Only thing I'm asking is that let's be cautious about some of the things that we say. Because all of these things that we said tonight, somebody said, boy, they got all this money. But there's another side to it. And that side has not been heard tonight. Because I'm sitting here saying, teachers is how I really improve my school, because I know that. And not one of us will say our teacher's not important. I understand what happened when we laid off 160 teachers. That created and I was one of the first person to say that. But we moved to the point now, if we can help and do some things, let's do that. Now, if you want to really get a school system going in the wrong direction, tell people we got some money and then we're not giving it to them. Let's make sure that these things are vetted. That's my point, Mr. Crawford.
All right. Anybody else? Because I've got a couple. Mr. Superintendent?
Just briefly, this discussion item, of course, focused on the strategic plan, and I appreciate the board and thank all the board members individually and collectively for working on what I think is a very good strategic plan. And I think those are some realistic goals, and I think we need to have that. And I appreciate your work and also the work of our principals and other administrators that compiled that document. And we hope that it is a living document and it does drive us in the right direction. And then secondly, in reference to all the budget suggestions, of course, we have 2 more scheduled workshops, as you well know. We have presented to you. There has not been a whole lot of information going back and forth. We understand that, but we have our next opportunity on the 22nd to thoroughly vet, as Mr. James has suggested, these items. We will be bringing to you a very extensive report. I believe there are 12 different items that you asked us to look at. We'll be bringing back information in reference to that at our the workshop on the 22nd in reference to the budget. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, a couple things. There's some areas, Ms. Stacy, I'm going to agree with you on tonight, but let me first give you a figure. You're saying $2.5 million. No, actually, to eliminate the 92, we would need $4.2 million to eliminate the 92 continuing subs that we have that is scheduled for this year. Now, part of that money is already available, because if you figure just 36,000 and then
I'm talking extra money.
and then times the benefit package that goes with the requirement from the state, things like that. That's the 4.2. You've got 18,000 already into that budget, so probably you are close to the 2.5. But just always remember the full amount's going to be the 4.2. I agree with you 100%. But I will always vote to put it on the ballot, because I think the public should be allowed to choose. But I don't think the public is in the mood to increase taxation. And we keep hearing about investments. It's the word, it's taxation, is what it is. Especially with all that's going to be on the potential 2014 ballot, it seems like every day something else gets there. So I think between it would be between us and the sheriff, and if the city decides to put some type of stadium on there, I think the public's just gonna walk in there and go, I don't think so, okay? So we might as well just, not plan in this area. You mentioned about the open enrollment. I was at a meeting yesterday. That was discussed. There is a problem. DOE has not issued the technical assistance paper, and the feeling is that they are going to issue a paper that says, no, there are far more hoops you've got to jump through rather than a rather simplistic approach. So we're still waiting for that, and unfortunately,
The statute's very clear. that
well,
they've got-
but the legislature is not telling DOE that. That's been the problem, and that's the, so we're still waiting. So I hope it is. I would love to see us have some way that we could get back to averaging at the school level, because if anything, you're gonna find out at most, a class of 18 might go to 19, okay? A class of 22 might go to 23, okay? It is not going to be this impact that some people are saying we're gonna raise class sizes up to 35 and all this
And
other.
I've spoken with some, I've got the numbers pretty much on every single school, or like 15 of the elementary schools. Pretty much it makes a difference of about 2 teachers per school, but
Yeah.
that's like 80,000 a
Yeah,
school?
it's not a,
Like 90,000 a school.
it is a much more manageable situation for us to be in. What I am very concerned about, and I have been doing a great deal of poring over data on this, I am very concerned about the certified subs, the impact that they are having on our schools. And I really don't care whether anybody likes the current grading system that we have, okay? It is the way the state is running things at the moment. Now, they may even think that they've got a problem because they didn't go to the full impact of the system this year. They said, we won't go down 2 grades, well, we'll hold it at 1. But let's look at the rules we were supposed to be playing under. We've got 5 failing schools in this county, 5 of them. 1 is a repeat. And if you look at the number of certified subs that were in those schools, the ones who are having the greatest problems are the ones who have the greatest number.
I rest my case.
If you even look at, as I have talked about since I've been on the board, and I call it the ring and the core. The core is the schools that are within 10 miles of this building. The ring are schools like Stanton Wearsdale and Reddick and East Marion, like that. Those schools, the ones in the ring, got the preponderance of the subs, and they are also suffering with the downgrade of the grades.
Exactly.
And so I agree, we've got to find a way to put them all back.
Thank you.
I'm not going to do it on the back of all of on our other employees, because I think that is wrong. But I think that we can come up with, we've got to, you have suggested training. I think we also need to look at some of the areas of non-essential travel. I realize that we are required to send people for training for the IB programs, the ACE programs, there's probably 1 or 2 others in there. We're required to do that to meet the requirement of the agreement that we signed. Fine, that can be protected. But I really believe we need to take a very hard look at. For the training implement this year, as I stated at our last work session, I don't think Common Core is going to survive another year. Excuse me. So for us to be spending a lot of money on training for Common Core this year, I think is wrong. It needs to be dumped back. It needs to be bringing the 92 back in, or as much as we can find, back into it, and we need to make sure that some of our schools aren't going to have 4 and 5 certified subs at there when there are other schools who have none.
Liberty has 6.
And
I called them.
miraculously, those are the schools that are doing extremely well.
I felt there was a connection. Thank you for
And
making me right.
I just, you know, it has driven me crazy. I brought some of my data tonight. I have not finished it all, but let me just tell you that for this coming year, according to the numbers of certified subs, for the schools that are D-rated and what I call failing schools, nobody wants to say they're F because they weren't awarded that, but they, if you look at the fact that they received a benefit of not going down the two
But one
grades they were
grade.
supposed to go down, to me, they're still in a failing mode. The D and failing schools will have, they will account for 46% of the total number of schools that we have in this. And let me just say, the data I'm working with are strictly the schools that we have actually received a grade from. The high schools, since they are still pending, we won't get those until October, November. I eliminated them, and I also took out the charter schools because we have zero control over them, okay? The projected attendance is gonna be also almost 46% in those schools, and they are going to have 59% of the certified subs. That is just wrong, okay? When you look at the A schools that we had, they account for almost 10% of our school locations. They account for 7.5% of the projected attendance for this coming year, and they represent 1.6% of the certified subs. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is no correlation there, but
It's pretty, it looks pretty
I
much
think
like
it.
to
I
me.
think there's something to be said to it, and I've heard that we weren't going to have more than 2 at any school, and that was not. I can't.
I heard 3 at Mark.
I can't guarantee that source. It was just brought to me, but we've got schools that got far more than 2. And I know one of the arguments is, well, if you divide that against the total number of teachers that are in the school, it only represents that. Well, but then you go back and look at those schools and see what they're doing. So I agree with you. We got to find something, even if we put back a third of them, if we put back a quarter of them, if we could put back 100%, I'd be a happy camper.
I think we can, I
But-
think we need to work, and you know, if we can get our schools and do our teachers right and get the morale up in this district, and we go to the taxpayers and say, there are children in our schools today, there is absolutely not a whole lot that individual music accomplishments or art accomplishments just makes their self-esteem soar. We've been trying to give it as a gift for so many years in the public school system, but self-esteem is not a gift, it must be earned. There's certain things that music and art and those things where children have their single accomplishments, the ones who are not jocks, who are not going to be cheerleaders, who are not going to be athletes. This makes their self-esteem soar because it's an individual effort. If we talk as a board about ways that we could go to the taxpayers for some help, if we get these teachers all back to work and we show them we are doing everything, party time's completely over, we're doing everything we can, and we say on our referendum that this is for art teachers, music teachers, and we look at some things and we take the majority classroom to get our teachers, and then, you know, maybe let the administration have a little bit, I really think we could get it passed.
Well,
But I'm not gonna work on it as long as we are cheating. And like Mr. James, you said, it's not fair, the man comes in and cleans up and he's not worth as much as the other guy. We do that to 100 teachers every single day this year. This teacher's not as worth as much as that teacher in the lunchroom because Mr. Tomlin decided he's not. Not because he's not a better teacher, not because of anything, except that he just was the luck of the draw.
And you know, and I'm going to go to Ms. Jane real quick. Alachua County did have some success by targeting a ballot issue in defined areas of
I think
bringing.
we could
the-
get it if we do
You
that.
know, I mean, so that's something that we will probably need to talk about come November because of the time requirements of being able to get something on the ballot at the time it has to go to the county commission so that they officially put it on the ballot. and the supervisor of elections requirement to be able to get ballots printed and then mailed out, and you've got all those
We do
federal
some
laws.
really exciting things in this district, and we should offer school choice, and we start doing some things. I honestly believe the taxpayers will support us.
Yeah, I like I said, I think that, you know, we need to have some discussion, and there's another pool of money that I am, I'm taking a look at, but I can't quite get my hands around it at the moment. And let me just first, before we go to Mr. James, 'cause I want to give him the maximum amount of time, I apologize for anybody in the administration who feels like they've been blindsided tonight. I was not planning to bring this up this evening. It came up. I tried to bring my data with me in case something like this happens, but that is the reason why I had not mentioned it before, because I was hoping that somehow I had found a flaw. So far, I've not been able to find a flaw, but maybe it's still there. Mr. James.
Again, one of the things I would like to say, the information that we have is good information that's being brought to us. And some of the things that I've said, and I stick with the things that I've said, the people that are working with us are important, all of them. But I would like for this group to come to the session and bring it there so we will have something that we know we can do. I do not want people to be out there thinking that we're doing something, and we have an opportunity at our work sessions to bring this information there that's so important. That's so important that we start some dialogue with the people that's working on this budget so they will know what is being said and they have a chance to say, hey, we can do this. I hadn't thought about this. And I would like to see that. But I do not want us shooting out there and we got teachers out there saying, these guys must be got something there. I want us to be a collective team. And that's what my concern is. You know, there's nothing said here that was said tonight that shouldn't have been said. All I'm saying is, let's make sure we have the information that have bounced off all of these people that spend days and days down there, and then we come up with a plan. And then we can bring it out there and we got a clear vision of what we're talking about. We're getting ready to open school in a week. And did we help our cause by saying, you know, they got some dollars up here and I'm out here working for nothing? That's what it basically boiled down to. But when we look at morale, we got to open school. And did we help our cause in terms of morale?
I hope so. I hope they know there's hope. I hope they believe there's
Okay,
hope on the
and
help
I
on the way.
understand the hope. But I want them to understand that we want to deal with some reality in terms of getting all these people that are dealing with these numbers and making these numbers count. Because the worst thing we can have is that we have hope and we don't respond in a way, and then we have hope again, and they're not going to believe us when we come back to them again.
I guess I seem to work in the opposite what ifs, Mr. James. You operate in a different world than me. You operate in the what if the sky falls. I operate in the what if the rainbow comes out.
Okay, I operate in a world where I know I'm dealing with people,
I'm saying,
emotions
what
and
if all
feelings.
this works for us? Let's think
That's
positive.
wonderful.
Okay. Yeah,
But what if it don't?
And let's bring things to the work session. Mr. Superintendent, do you have something that you wanted to say?
No, sir.
Okay, I
No, sir.
didn't.
I'm fine.
Okay. I agree with a point that I think Mr. James was trying to make. Finding the money. There is no secret batch of money. There's no, platinum American Express card that we can charge on. It's going to require us stripping out almost every other part of and it reminds me, and people know I'm a big movie buff. You remember the movie Around the World in 80 Days? Almost at the end of the movie, they're trying to cross the ocean. They have literally stripped the ship down to nothing. They still haven't seen land yet. The main character, Phineas Fogg, throws in his umbrella to have a few more moments of steam in the engine, and at that very moment, they think all is lost, and they suddenly see a land. For us to get to land, we're going to have to strip some areas, and I know that people are going to say, no, my area needs the money. Well, then that's a decision We're going to,
And I want to thank you, Mr. Crawford, because this is a this is a conversation that we need to have. And you talk about your movies all the time. I don't watch movies, but I did watch Stepford Wives. The education system reminds me of the Stepford Wives. It's like so many people are all saying the same thing, but they don't know why they're saying it. And they all walk around, they go, me too, me too, me too. I call them the Stepford Crats. But you know something? Maybe we can come in with different thoughts like some of us have and say, okay, Stepford Crats, y'all are going, me too, me. Robots, stop. We're going to reprogram you. Let's look at this. And they go, and Mr. Tomlin goes, hey, I never thought of that, Nancy. Boom. Instead of chasing the people around who aren't Stepford Crats to kill them, maybe we need to start listening to them. And that's what I hope tonight starts.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
Let's talk about some positive stuff.
Do you have a motion on the floor?
Oh, I'm sorry, did we? Okay,
We haven't voted on it yet.
thank you. Gosh, you get lost in these. All right, is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor,
My computer's gone off.
you know, please say aye and
Aye.
Aye.
all opposed?
I'm for it, but I don't know how to vote because my machine just went off.
Uh,
Would you like
What?
me to vote in
You vote
positive
for me,
or
aye.
negative?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and it should pass 5-0. Thank you for reminding me, Superintendent. All right, it did pass 5-0. All right, something now on positive. May I have a motion to approve the following donations? $1,000 to CTAE from Paul Wise. Consumables and non-consumable supplies from Grooming and Salon Services Program valued at $4,000 to CTAE from Robert Walker. $3,200 to Dr. N.H. Jones Elementary School from Malene Slaughter. $4,800 to Hammett Bowen Junior Elementary School from Hammett Bowen Junior Elementary PTO. $1,000 to Hillcrest Public Schools from Morris and Patrick Janey. $3,700 to Lake Ware High School from Mark M. Summers and Lottie Marie Waldington. $3,000 to MCPS Homeless Needy Program from Quantum Foundation. Appreciation lunch valued at $1,273.43 to Osceola Middle School from the Osceola Middle School PTO, and $1,485.20 to Sunrise Elementary School from Sunrise Elementary PTO. I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Boynton, second by Ms. Ely. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion, I believe, is going to carry 5-0.
Out of the way.
Is your machine back up? This is busy.
Yeah. no.
Thank you. Yes, and that does pass 5-0, and I'm going to ask Ms. Boynton to thank our community this evening.
Well, I want to thank all of our donors in the community for showing us a vote of confidence by continuing to donate to our schools, especially at a time like this. And we at the school board, Marion County School Board, sincerely appreciate you and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Board, some quick reminders. The next administrative briefing and work session is scheduled for Thursday, August 15th, 2013 at 9 a.m. The purpose of the work session is to review job classifications, descriptions recommended by changes and renewal of the 2014 health insurance plan. There's also an administrative briefing and work session scheduled for Thursday, October 22nd, 2013. The purpose of the work session is to continue the review of the 2013-2014 proposed budget, and will include a review of the 5-year work plan. If necessary, the 2014 health insurance, we may continue the discussion on that, too. All right. Board members, it's now time for any comments that you may have, and I'm going to start this evening with our distinguished Vice Chair of the Board, Mr. James.
Just some words of encouragement for us, for our 41,000 students that will be out there going to school and doing things and looking at a new, let's say, a new era, a new day, a new morning. And they remind me of something up in the morning and out to school. And I just like to encourage everybody to look at this year as a positive thing. For our teachers that are out there, rest assured that the school board of Marion County supports you 100%. It's not that we are trying to do something to undermine what we do in our school, because every one of you are important to us. So I would like to take this opportunity to say, have a good school year. That's the most important thing. And the beauty of going to school for both teachers and staff, it's whatever you make of it. It's whatever you make of it. And this year is no exception. It's whatever you make of it. Thank you.
Ms. Boynton?
I just echo Mr. James and beautiful words you spoke, Mr. James, and I want to also echo to our teachers. You always know that we're here supporting you, and anything you need, any of our board members to know, please feel free to contact us. We all have email addresses. If you have any concerns, just make sure we're here. And I also want to take the time to thank you, Mr. Tomlin, for your staff. For when I did go to Tallahassee, I instantly called Mr. Tomlin to make sure I could get information. I wanted to take the staff with me, you know, so I didn't have to answer any hard questions. But thank you all for all the hard work you do, and we'll be welcoming you all back for a wonderful, new, safe, and brilliant school year.
Ms. Ely?
Wanted to remind parents of orientations. Most of the schools are having them Friday, some are Thursday, some are Saturday. But that's the time for you to take your child to school, get to meet the teacher, and just be aware of what's going to be going on this school year. Like Mr. Christian says, be there for your kids, and it starts the first day of school or orientation. Also, I wanted to remind parents of the school zones that are going to be up. We have 254 buses that are going to be running on Monday, transporting 23,500 students. And we have just a few extra drivers beyond that 254, so we hope they all stay healthy so we don't have to get any subs there. But I wish all of you teachers, students, very successful school year, and I'll be out at several schools for orientation and several schools for first day of school. And the principal in me still just can't stay away from the schools. It's the beginning of the year. It's very exciting. All the kids are they're so excited about their new teachers, seeing their friends. It's just a great time to be around kids and schools and teachers. They're happy to meet their family for the year. So have a great opening, and hope to see some of you in the schools.
Ms. Stacy?
I would just like to thank my fellow board members for a great dialogue, and Mr. Tomlin also. We really do respect you. We have to speak candidly, and I appreciate the way you sit there tough and you take it right on. And I guess it's criticism is what makes us the best. And you should be really good tomorrow. After tonight. But I'd like to share that I was with Speaker of the House of Representatives last night, having some great conversation with Speaker Weatherford. And we talked about some things that I have going on personally with school issues that I'm working with him. And I was with him for a great time last night. So they're hearing us. They're hearing our cries. And so we will all just continue doing the things that we do and hope it all works out for everyone. Thank you.
All right. Normally at this point, I'd ask Ms. Morris if she has anything, but we're going to be coming back to her. Madam Secretary.
Fine.
Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've already mentioned the fact that teachers have returned, and yesterday was their first day of pre-planning, this 4-day period of time to get ready for our students next week. I can share with you also that many, if not most, of our teachers have already been back on their respective campuses in the last week, and then, of course, many of them attended different trainings and activities during the summer. Once again, I know we'll get some further details on this, but the Stuff the Bus campaign was a huge success again this year. I cannot tell you, but I'm going to guesstimate that there were probably tons of materials and supplies delivered to our schools to be used and dispersed from our guidance departments there. And this special kudos, and they know this is coming, and you've already received word of it, but for the 13th consecutive year, the Government Finance Officers Association has recognize our finance department with a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting, for transparency and openness, and we appreciate the work of those fine people in that particular department. Today, I had the opportunity to visit the schools where we have 6 brand-new first-year principals. Hit a few other schools along the way also. I recognize in the air, as Mrs. Ely has already shared, a lot of excitement, especially a lot of teamwork, a lot of what we're calling feeder patterns with various schools working together, and a lot of district support recognized by those people. And those are 3 things that this administration is certainly promoting. And then finally, I will turn to my left here. She probably won't put it in the minutes, but it is Mrs. Flottkitter's birthday. So I do get to say that and embarrass her with your permission, sir.
You may,
That's all I have, sir.
and she's,
Not gonna say how old.
and she's moved to a ripe old age of 38. So, remember, all ladies are always young, so.
Happy birthday.
I've got to go to Ms. Morris, but I had something, because Mr. Superintendent, you just brought it up, and you mentioned that you had an opportunity to visit some schools with new principals.
Yes, sir.
And this has become a concern of mine. We seem to have some schools which have literally a revolving door of principals going into that school. I can think of one in particular that is up in my area of the county, that I think there has been a new principal there almost every year for the last 4 or 5 years. And I do get complaints from parents who sit there and go, we have absolutely no idea who's going to be principal. We now spend another year trying to develop a relationship with them. So I believe that when somebody takes a position like that there really should be no consideration unless they're failing, and then they should be removed from being a principal. But there should be no movement in that school for at least 3 years, because I don't know how they're ever going to get stuff handled in any less time. But that's a topic for another discussion. Board members, I'm now going to call on our attorney. She has a request to the board.
Board, I am notifying you that advice is needed regarding pending litigation styled City of Ocala, a Florida municipal corporation plaintiff versus School Board of Marion County, a political subdivision of the state of Florida defendant. The school board is represented by attorney Susan Siegel with the law firm of Dale Graham for this litigation. Pursuant to section 286.011(8) Florida statutes, known as the Government in the Sunshine Act, on behalf of Attorney Siegel, I am requesting a session with the board for the sole purpose of discussing settlement negotiations and strategies related to this matter. I will ask the board secretary to cause reasonable public notice of the time and date of these sessions and the names of the persons attending to be published. It is suggested that the sessions be held at the end of the administrative briefing and work session scheduled for August 22nd, 2013 at approximately 11:30 in the morning. As required by statute, only the chief executive officer or designee, board members, and legal counsel can be present. As required by statute, I will ask a court reporter to record the session. Her notes will be fully transcribed and filed with the clerk of the school board. Upon the conclusion of the litigation, the transcript will be made a public record.
Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the board hold an attorney-client session pursuant to section 286.011(8) Florida statutes to discuss the pending litigation.
Board, being no objection, I will instruct our attorney to schedule the attorney-client session to be held at the end of the August 22nd, 2013 administrative briefing and work session to begin approximately at 11:30 a.m. Is there any objection from any of the board members? Seeing none, you have such direction. All right. Board members, we're now at the point for the disciplinary matters. We have a request for 2 early re-entries. Are there any other parents in the audience who wish to speak on behalf of a student regarding any other disciplinary matter? I'm going to be calling a short recess to clear the room prior to further discussion about these student matters, and the parents of those 2 students will have the opportunity to address the board at that time. This concludes the televised and business portion of the school board meeting, and we will stand in recess at 7:31.